have a topic.
You don't need a topic, Matt.
I
Does
thought we
this seem
always have
like
to
a
come
show
with the
that has a
topic.
topic?
It's time to podcast, Ben.
Is that you? You want that to be your topic?
No, I don't need to be my topic. I just want to let you know what time it is.
Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. My name's Ben. We're here to talk about, practical shooting and shooting of the things. On deck today, very special guest who does not grace us with his presence a whole hell of a lot, Mr. Joel Park. See, you didn't know which direction I was going to go, did you, Matt?
He was probably on the last one, though.
Yeah. It's your friend and mine,
Don't
Matt
sound
Hopkins, which we're excited to have on here.
Yeah, you can't
Hi,
pin
everybody.
this guy down for anything. Matt's not very chatty. He doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Whatever.
Matt's
I don't have
busy.
a topic, so I'll have to come up with one on the fly.
No, Matt, you're just going to tell us about your off-season plans.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, because my topic today, guys, it's a real doozy, a showstopper. I want to talk about reloading in the off-season, which I think is great.
As long as you're not the one giving reloading advice, it sounds okay.
No, I mean, my reloads are for shit, as you know.
I know, because I was sitting there case gauging them after you were loading them, and I'm like, oh, these are okay, these aren't okay.
There's going to be some issues there. That's going to happen. I just kind of QC them on the fly, you know?
I'm aware.
Okay.
What do you QC them when you put them in your gun from the magazine?
No, that one didn't work.
While you're shooting?
No, for the record, Ben is super careful with his match ammo.
I'm very careful with match stuff, but training stuff,
Practice stuff, it doesn't matter.
not so much. Which is kind of what I want to talk about. So if you're one of those people that is like, oh, I'm going to go shooting tomorrow, and then you have to go to your reloading press and make some ammunition for the following day's training, you and I do not see the world the same way. Let me put it that way. I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of loading up ammo ahead of time. So now it's, we're recording this the day before Thanksgiving. So it is holiday time and families are coming around and, I'm the dude eating in the Chinese restaurant on those holidays typically, which is fine. I like Chinese food. But it's also a time for me to take my off season and instead of doing jack shit and doing nothing, I spend that time doing preparation. So that's where it's loading up ammo. I've got some new guns to play around with, which maybe you'll see on a later show. So got guns coming my way. I got gear that I'm testing out, all that stuff. And this is the time of year to do that. And the key thing for a lot of people is, hey, man, do your reloading. Do some of it. It is some money, so you're going to lay out some money for components ahead of time, but I think that is definitely a worthwhile investment because at this time of year, if you are one of those people who's on a budget, and I certainly have been there for shooting, you're not spending money on travel to matches right now, probably. You're not spending a lot of money on matches. Even if you live in a warm climate right now where you are shooting matches, you're probably not shooting big matches. You're probably not shooting as many matches. So take some of that money, put that into components, and start thinking about your next year's training. I think is a good thing to do.
Ben, if I could add something, people buy reloading components like they buy a loaf of bread or milk, and they wait until they need it to buy it. And especially if
sense to me,
like bullets, whatever, you get bullets. But let's say you like a specific powder, I want tight grip. That's how my load is, worked up for. And then I wait until the last minute, and guess what? I can't get tight grip. No one has it. Then I'm like, well, maybe I'll have to try something else. Let's see if I can get a load. That's just all headache you don't need. So I'm not saying you need to buy 10 years worth of stuff. No. But it's definitely nice to have, enough on hand where you can load some ammo and you're set up for a few months. So this is also a good time if you have, some different powder or primers you like or something like that. Just don't be running out. This is a good time to look for deals and stockpile that stuff also. And
I'm maybe in a different situation than most people, but when I'm shooting, if Joel's been around for this and Matt's been around for this, if I'm at home training, I'm going to be shooting a lot. Mm-hmm. So kind of no matter what I do, I'm going to start depleting my ammunition when I'm shooting a lot. It's just, I'm out shooting for a few hours, then I got to go do this other thing, then I got to do some other stuff, and maybe I have a little bit of time for reloading, but not enough to replenish what I used, and I just kind of start getting behind, which I'm okay with if I have a lot of stuff to fall back on. Also, if you load up ahead of time, then you don't have to rush to load, for one thing. And then if some little dumb part breaks on your press, you're not scrambling to get that fixed.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
That stuff happens too. So I like to load right now because it's really low. It's like low stress. There's nothing going on. I can just kind of stand there and make ammo and get everything ready to go, which I've been doing that. I really like it.
Well, also, like let's say I train today and I plan to train tomorrow, and I've used up almost all the ammo I have. So then I have to go home, like put all my crap away. Maybe I leave all my stuff in my car. I know I have to load ammo before tomorrow, and then I'm like, well, how much time do I have left? It just kind of wears you out. It's just extra aggravation you don't need. So
well, no, I mean that is part of it. I've in past years I've shot through all my ammo, and then it comes to where I want to shoot really heavy because Nationals is coming up or something, and it is demoralizing to be shooting and loading 1,000 rounds in a day. Not one day, but it's like day after day after day after day, where it's like you've got to load because if you don't load, you can't shoot, and you've got to shoot because if you don't, you're going to suck worse than you suck now, and you don't want to suck because some things are happening.
And then if your press works or your press has a problem, then you're stressed out and trying to get that fixed, and maybe you're not shooting tomorrow.
Totally sucks. The one procedure that I have in place to prevent things from getting too crazy is I'm taking some ammo of the stuff that's just loaded. So whatever's coming off the press like today, maybe I'll go shoot a little bit tomorrow, test out some new guns and shoot the ammo that's just being made to make sure that everything's kosher with the ammo. So it's a smart thing to do too. Anything to add to that, Mr. Matthew? You load ahead of time, don't you?
I do definitely load ahead of time. This year was the first time where I ran out of ammo like a couple weeks before Nationals. And then I ran out of powder, and I was like, holy shit.
Oh, no.
It was like messaging every local person, and I was able to find enough stuff so I could continue shooting through Nationals. And I want to thank Troy and Jared for that. They helped me out quite a bit.
Good old Sasquatch.
Yep, he was awesome.
Helped you?
Yeah, he gave me a bunch of powder that I needed to get.
I have a feeling I'd get a different response if I asked that question.
To your local shooters?
No, to Jared specifically.
No, I don't think so.
He's too nice.
He'd probably leverage me.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But
that's too bad. I like Jared a lot, by the way, guys. I'm just talking shit.
Yeah.
Audience.
No, he's super nice. Even if he didn't like somebody, he would still be like, well, I had this ammo loaded up that I was going to train with, but if you don't have any, I guess you can have it.
Yeah. No, he would have for sure. It was awesome.
Well, those guys bailed you out, Matt.
Yes, I was very happy.
Did you have a heavy consumption year last year for ammunition?
I definitely did. This is the most I've ever shot in 2019.
Tell me more, sir. This could be your topic. Yeah, this could be it. Tell me more. So now you've aroused my curiosity.
So I had a pretty interesting situation. I had switched to the polymer gun like in the fall after Nationals in 18. So I was like, oh, I got to shoot a lot to get used to this. So I shot a lot and didn't take hardly any off season. So I shot all winter, trying to shoot a lot to get used to it. And then like...
At what point did you realize that you weren't getting used to it?
Summer.
Like I'm used to it. I'm used to it, and I still don't like it.
Yeah. It's a different gun. The Shadow 2 is so optimized for USPSA, it's hard to beat. And it's hard to go to a polymer gun from that. Trigger was not as good. There's not a lot of aftermarket support for it, so there wasn't a lot of options there. But then when I switched to Shadow 2, I'm like, oh, I got to shoot a lot to get used to the Shadow 2 now. So I estimate I shot over 30,000 rounds easily, probably closer to 40. So then that's the most I've ever shot by a lot. Most I ever shot before was like 20,000 rounds.
Did you feel it was productive skill-wise? Because people always have these questions. They're like, like what this
I think it was just trying to get used to the guns.
Yeah.
From what I'm normally used to, like switching to a polymer gun was really hard and took a lot of learning. I think it helped overall.
Really? How long would you say that took to get comfortable with it?
I wouldn't say I was ever really comfortable with it as I was with the Shadow 2 or the SPO1s before that.
Yeah.
It was just it's a totally different platform, and I hadn't shot that platform since 2010.
Okay.
So I shot like 9 years, 8.5 years on the DASA. And to go back to the striker fired with a single trigger was definitely a learning curve. And I think I grew as a shooter because of that.
Yeah. No, you learn something. If you have to pick up a new gun and learn to become proficient with it, you can't help but learn. Even if the gun's like, if you're like, it's not for me and I don't really like it, but I'll be like proficient with it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Matt, very interesting. So, okay. And how much are you going to load up this winter?
I'm going to load 20,000 rounds. I'm about to order 20,000 bullets, and I have enough primers and powder now to do that. So I'm going to have 20 loaded up before the end of January, at least.
Nice.
Maybe more.
Yeah, and this is why I mentioned, like, hey, this time of year, if you guys are not incurring travel expenses for major matches, like, just put that when I was a lot younger and had a lot less money, it would always be like, you hit a time in the middle of the summer where it's like you're booking plane tickets and you're putting down like nationals match fees. Like maybe you're going to shoot both nationals. Like what is that? Like $600 for both halves of the back-to-back nationals or something.
Yep.
Something like that. I mean,
like,
and then on top of that, you're like, oh shit, I need to shoot 10,000 rounds. It's like $1,000 for that. Like all in the same week or something. Like that just sucks. So if you get out in front of it now, and then it just will not become a problem, hopefully, later on down the line. It's also a good time you can put together group buys on bullets. A lot of guys do that. Where, I mean, you could maybe get a few takers for like 150,000 bullet order or something. You get a deal from whoever. Blue bullets, I guess, if you...
I'm working on that right now.
You're going to get a deal on the blue bullets, Matt?
I think I'm going to get in on a deal on the blue bullets, yeah.
You should definitely do that. I know a guy who...
Do you?
Yeah, I know a guy. I know some guys over there. They're pretty cool.
Are they? That'd be nice.
You know that the blue bullets, what I like about them is there's like nothing to say. It's like you order the shit, it shows up.
And they work.
And they function. And then it's like, hey, that guy over there is like, what do you have to say about the staff? Nothing. Because they just do this shit and it's done. Like that's the best thing that's the best comment you can make about staff anywhere. It's like you don't even really notice them because stuff is happening. If things start to go sideways, then you're like, oh, well, this guy's an asshole. And that you start having those problems. But I have not experienced that.
No, the best staff experience is not knowing that there's actually staff there and they're not just robots.
Yeah, no, I mean I have a very favorable deal with them, but I will still order bullets and pay full price to like ship them to a friend of mine because that's like easier than dragging a box of bullets that I have to the post office to try to like flat rate that. So I always feel like a dick doing that. So I just prefer to order them from Blue Bullets and ship them to where I need them. Yeah. And that's always been a good experience. So Anyway, enough pimping the things. Joel, what do you want to talk about?
I guess another observation. I know. Well, especially, I mean, not even national, but just a lot of matches I've been to, especially at the tail end of the year, where, let's say, you're walking a stage, there's other people there, so you're kind of looking at it as a group. And people, I would say overall, a lot of people try to make stages more difficult than what they need to be. They're like looking for a gimmick or something that's just, it's not there, or something that they think maybe is going to give this some big edge and it really doesn't. They end up making the stage more complicated. Maybe they're trying to save one reload. Maybe they think they have some really crazy, sequence. I'm going to go left, right, then back left. That's going to save me 2 steps or something. And I guess just like on that, people spend too much energy and they end up getting confused, or they end up sitting on a stage that's like something let's say something that like the average competitor could walk up at in 5 minutes, could come up with like, yep, this is a pretty good plan. I'll just go here. Yep, no big deal. And then you see somebody kind of stand there and they're like, well, yeah, that would make sense, but let me find a better way to do that. And there's really not one, and there's not one that causes an advantage, if that makes sense. So I think like the message for this would just be, don't make it more difficult than it needs to be. And it's going to come down to your execution more than your plan, as long as you're not doing something stupid. So it's basically
simplicity.
Simplicity.
And,
well, even
and aggression trumps a theoretically optimized plan.
Yeah, and make it as easy as you can. So by making it, hey, simple, like, hey, I see these targets. I'm going to shoot these targets when I see them. Like, boom. That's less visualization. It's easier for me probably to execute. It's easier to memorize. It's a net win. And even watching your talk through on training group for nationals.
Oh yes,
we had the same which stages we had not even talked about or walked together. We had the same plan for all but a couple. Whereas like I just look at it, I'm like, yep, this is the way to do it. And guess what? That was the way the super squad was shooting it also. And that was without talking to you. It's just you just look at it. That's not anything I did that's anything that's special. But you just look at it, it's like, yep, let's make this easy. Go to the places and shoot the things. So if anything, like I said, your execution is going to be more important than spending all afternoon trying to find some little gimmick or a step you might save or a reload you might save.
Agree 100%. What do you say, Matt?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I've fallen into both sides of it, where I've taken too much time to look at something that shouldn't have, and then taken not enough time to look at something that should have. So I think there's a balance there where
for sure
you just got to figure it out.
Yeah,
or if you go up to a stage like that 4-4 reload 4-4, you should not spend any time on that stage on the visualization. You're just gonna like tense yourself up and stuff. You should be like, yeah, got that one. Don't need to worry about it. It's like, oh, they got El Prez in the match. Cool.
Yep. Just walk away.
I'm on deck. Awesome. Let me make sure I got 2 mags at least.
All right. Are you guys ready for a topic that could get a little spicy?
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Matt likes controversy anyway.
Here's the podcast question. Knowing these things are not evidence of anything, how do you feel about the abundance of videos and photos on social media where competitors are clearly DQing but not being called on it? I have seen things from fingering the trigger guard on reload to drawing up range while turning. All levels of competitors, from high-level Ms and GMs to regular DNC class at local and major matches. The irony is that all of these are posted by USPSA themselves on their IG and FB, and any comments poking fun at the uncalled DQs are deleted. So then, just to get a little clarity, I linked up. I asked for a little bit of clarification, like, hey, what do we? Can I get some specific examples? Like, what are you talking about here? So the guy was not trying to call anyone out or any shit like that. So if you guys would like, I can throw a couple pictures up in the group chat. But it would be like,
I have an opinion. Like, I don't think the pictures matter to me, but
they didn't matter to me. I just wanted to make sure that I was on the same page with the guy asking the question. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so yeah. So
that'd be an awesome photo to put up.
These were put up. You're looking
at
on USPSA Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. So now that we're on the same page, Matt, what do you got to say?
Why the fuck does it matter? The ROs didn't make the call. You can't, like, 4 months later quarterback this and be like, oh, that dude should be DQ'd, or that RO staff is bad because you're, like, seeing this. Like, why does it matter? Is, like, your, like, I guess, worth in this world to call out people that post photos on Facebook and Instagram? And, like, that's what you're caring about?
Oh, Matt. All right.
Name drop. Do we know anybody like that? No, I'm just kidding.
No. All right,
don't name
Joel.
drop.
No, I don't think I'll do that.
You got anything?
I know you won't. Yeah, like what Matt's saying. Well, first of all, sometimes you see. Well, I've even seen like videos of people of matches that I was at where I know they did not break the safe angle, but from the angle the video is taken at, it looks like that guy was totally at 190. Because of the way the person was standing, or maybe the way the targets are, or the way you think you see stuff. And then when I was watching the person shoot, I was like, yeah, that was fine. And so I would say, like the video doesn't obviously show you everything. And the ROs have a job I don't want, where they don't get, it's not like a football game where you get like the instant replay. It's like, hold on, let's slow everything down. I'm going to go look at this. Like, okay, we'll review it. And then I'll talk about it with 3 or 4 of my friends. Like, okay, we'll slow down the match for 10 minutes. We'll come back with a call. It doesn't work that way. So I think they do the best they can with what they have. Of course, there are going to be times where somebody loads the gun and their fingers on the trigger, or maybe they broke 180 a little bit when they're coming around a corner because their body was in the way of between the RO and the gun. I think that kind of stuff, obviously, it happens. You'd be delusional to think it doesn't happen, but obviously they can't police everything. They do the best they can. If it's something crazy, like you barely get the gun out of the holster and you torch one to the ground, obviously, or you're loading the gun and you send one over the berm, obviously. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're making all right. So I don't have I guess I wouldn't say what you guys are saying the same way. I'll look at this from everybody's perspective. All right. So if you're the range, so a lot of times there's video that looks questionable, and a lot of times you're sure of what, based on what you're seeing on the video. I'll take it from the top. I do not think that we need to DQ more people from matches, generally speaking. Like, I don't look at the number of people DQ. We ought to DQ more people. It's like, no, we don't have a whole lot of accidents. We don't have a whole lot of problems. The DQ, the safety rules are there to keep us safe, and I feel pretty safe at a match.
You do too.
Yeah. So, that kind of informs my opinion moving forward. Where it's like, I think matches are pretty safe. Okay. And as far as if somebody does something flagrantly, that's like a DQ. Yeah. I've never seen somebody do something where you see a bunch of people jump on this, a bunch of people observing the stage jump. They're like, "Whoa, holy shit," and get away with it. People get stopped and DQ'd if there's a blatant violation. And a lot of times, if you're not sure, you can look at video or photographs, especially if you know the layout of stuff, and you can become more sure if somebody did something that would get them DQ'd or not. But in a split second, the RO has to call that. And quite honestly, if it's not flagrant enough that the RO can't call it on the spot, can't call it just by looking at it, then they probably shouldn't call it, in my opinion. So what I would do if I was USPSA, if I put up a video and somebody has a comment about something being somebody that should have gotten DQ'd, I would just delete the video. If I'm USPSA, yeah. It's like, yeah, we're just not going to have this conversation on Facebook. I'm just not going to do it. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking waste of time. And I don't give a shit about making going and making those comments that, hey, this guy should have been DQ'd or whatever. I think that's a waste of my time. Yeah. But for me as a competitor, I'm always looking at my footage, and I don't even I want it to look nice and clean because I don't want to get into trouble at a match. So those things are still stuff that you can learn from, where you're like, hey, this guy's reloading with his finger. It looks like it's in the trigger guard. Let's, work on that or sort that out so he's not going to get into trouble.
And I'm not saying you would, but I'm guessing if you noticed that was in one of your videos, that would not be one you'd post. Is that fair? Common sense.
I literally don't care what's in the video. I only care what it looks like. If it looks like there's something flagrantly unsafe or whatever, then I just don't post it.
Don't post it.
I mean, how about this? I've never had a video where there's something unsafe going on. I mean, I'm not the personality type that if I see somebody, if somebody's muzzle goes to 182, I'm going to have a heart attack and be like, oh my God, it's so unsafe. Mm-hmm. No, I don't feel like my life is threatened when somebody's gun goes a little bit past the safe angle. If they get DQ'd, they're going to get DQ'd, fine. But I don't feel like my life is in danger, for sure.
Well, and
but based on a lot of people's reactions, you would think they think that.
But how many times are they watching that video over and over again and freeze framing it and pausing it?
If you have to watch somebody's video more than once, go fuck yourself. That's no DQ.
Yeah, so you replay it 5 times and you think maybe you see something, and the RO in real time did not decide to call somebody on something that you have to watch 5 times to call him. That means it was not. And
see, the interesting thing, this might surprise people because I've kind of put my USPSA career on the line more than once to have fights about certain issues, right? Like if there's somebody like cheating at a match, like I will die on that. But as far as like trying to issue internet DQs to people, that is not something that I think is a productive use of my time at all. Because like the sport is safe. Like we got to start from that. We're not out, like I don't feel endangered going to a match at all. Like so we have a lot of layers of safety there, and if somebody gets away with one, I mean, in air quotes, gets away with one for an RO, like that does not bother me. That is, they're going to get nailed eventually. Absolutely. And I think anybody doing stuff where it's like, oh yeah, he went to 190 there instead of 180, like, oh yeah, okay, that dude's going home.
A lot of it's on perspective too.
It's really difficult to tell from photos and videos a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The couple that I linked up here were not hard to tell, but it's like,
they were.
I mean, if I had a photograph,
blatant.
If I had a photograph like that of you, Matt, I would not put it on the internet. I would be like, hey, dude, this could get you in trouble. And you'd be like, oh, okay. And that would be like a private conversation. Hashing that stuff out online is actually kind of stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Where I've had friends like where I saw them break, let's say they slightly broke 180 or something, or they're like something, and I like, hey, afterwards I'm like, we're just two of us like, dude, you didn't get DQ'd, but you should have. Like, you need to be super careful about that. Or maybe like, hey, when you're going towards your weak side and you're loading the gun, like you need to be careful about doing that. That's going to get you in trouble in the future. And like that's like between me and them. It's like for what it's worth. I'm not trying to be rude to you. And if it's somebody, I would say that, and I would say that to them whether they're a close friend or not. I wouldn't. I don't like unsolicited advice, but just like, hey man, like
no,
for what it's worth.
If it's those sort of rules, like I'll be like, hey, I mean, the way it works in my class is like, you know how it is, Joel. It's like, all right, I'm not going to DQ you here, but if you do that, you will get in trouble. Or it's like, hey, you don't want to run that way, like with your hand in that position. Because I don't know if you're breaking this. You're like running with your gun on the safe angle, and if you can avoid that, just don't put someone in a position to make a call. Yep. So I could totally see why this irritates people too. When they see a photo online of, somebody reloading with their finger in the trigger guard or something, put there by USPSA, you'd be like, oh my fuck, like.
Being careful about what you put online is obviously a good way to alleviate this problem.
Yeah, well, it's the same standards that like before you post something on Instagram, you look at the videos like, will somebody look at this and think that there's like a safe angle issue? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, if you think that somebody might think that, just don't post it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even go there.
Yep.
And there's a lot of times where I'll post a video or something, and people like, if some dude starts asking about the safe angle or something, it's just like what is this guy talking about? Like, this isn't even during a match, and he doesn't even know what the range layout is.
At that point, it's like nuke button, right?
Like, no, I'm just like, kill it. Like, don't even. It's not even a discussion. It's just like whatever.
Yep.
There's nothing to talk about. I've seen a few like high level shooters, like have weird looking video, and they get in there and try to fight the internet in the comments, and it's like, yeah, dude, it's a waste of time.
Like, yeah, a situation comes to mind. Yeah, I would not.
That's better than live PD.
What's that?
That's better than live PD watching that train wreck.
Yeah. Having like you're gonna fight the internet in the comments. I remember there was an incident a few years ago where somebody was wearing a GoPro at a club match, and for some reason, like footage, basically a guy's shooting into a target, and if you're a USPSA shooter, like like he's shooting almost on the safe angle at a target from where he's supposed to be shooting it, but then there's a dude standing behind the safe, behind the safe angle, and you're kind of like. The guy's shooting the target and the dude's kind of standing in that direction.
That's the cover photo of one of the more popular pages on Facebook.
Yeah, and like that stuff gets out there, and it's just like, that is not a good looking video. And it's like, if you want to go fight the internet in the comments on that about how that's safe, to like fight that to the larger gun community, good luck winning that fight. Like, I think it's safe, but it's like you're not going to win that argument with people who, like aren't USPSA guys. They're like, yeah, that dude's standing downrange. And it's like, well, no, it's not downrange. There's this angle and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, yeah, so you're shooting in that direction. That's downrange. That fucking guy's standing there. That looks bad. It's like, good luck fighting with that. Anyway. Well, I think we beat that horse to death, huh, guys? Spicy enough for you, Joel?
That was mild. That was fine. No big deal.
I know. Dude, a lot of people wouldn't like that. This, Joel.
I understand.
Need to DQ more people. Damn it.
Yeah, need a few more notches on my timer, of course.
Jesus. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Matt and Joel. I do appreciate it, guys. Listeners, if you have a question you'd like the answer to, go to bensteger.com. Send me your questions. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Yeah? Can we